SOLIDWORKS allows us to create multiple configurations of the same part using a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. To get started, all I need to do is go up to Insert, Tables, and come over here to Design Table. We have a couple options here. I can choose blank, auto create, or from a file. Majority of the time, you're just going to choose auto create and then click on the green check mark. And what this is going to do is going to open up a version of Microsoft Excel. Then it's going to ask us which of the dimensions inside of my model do I want to bring into Excel that I can then control with those values. So here you can see I've got dimensions D1, D2, and D1 at Boss Extrude 1. Those are the different dimensions inside of my model, and I can choose to bring in one of those or all of them, or I can just pick and choose. So if I had a more complicated model, this list could be literally hundreds of dimensions long. I need to choose which ones I would bring in to drive in the Excel table. So before I bring these in, I actually prefer to change the name of them so they're a little bit more descriptive. So when I actually work with them in the Excel table, I know what I'm working with. So let's go ahead and cancel for right now. But I have already started that table, so it's going to show up in my configuration manager. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OK here. Go over to the configuration manager. You can see I have a folder called Tables. Inside of there is that new design table. Let's hit delete on the keyboard just to get rid of that one. And then let's go back and fix up the model prior to bringing that table back in. So first go over here to the feature manager, come down here to sketch 1 and expand that out. Now notice the sketch dimension here, 6 inches. Over here you see the primary value. It says D1 at sketch 1. Let's change that to maybe length. Okay. And this one over here, maybe change that to width. So now when you click on each one of these, you'll see it's width at sketch 1. And this one over here is going to be length at sketch 1. Click OK. Now notice I have sketch 1 right here. So I can also change that value just by clicking in the box. And I'm going to say this is going to be the block base. Now if I click on each one of these, it's going to be length at block base. So I have the ability to change that. I can also change the actual Boss Extrude feature name too. So this can be maybe block. So you have the ability to rename all of your features and sketches in your design to make things a lot easier to find when you're working on more complicated designs. Once you've got that looking pretty good, I can then go into the block here, edit the feature, and same thing. If I click on, I can change the depth here, or if I click out of this, if I double click on this block, you can see the depth here. And if you click on that, you can also see it's called D1 at block. So I could change this one to maybe thickness. And so that's going to be now, if I double click on it again, click on that dimension, it's going to be thickness at block. So a lot more descriptive names are really going to help us out. Once you've got those changed, click on OK, and then come up here to Insert, Tables, Design Table, click on Auto Create, click OK. And in this case, I'm going to bring in all 3 of these values. So click on the first one, hold down Control and pick the other ones, and then click on OK. All right, now you can see we are actually in Microsoft Excel. At the top of the screen, notice the ribbon has completely changed, and now you see we are actually operating inside of Excel. Now I have this small little table here open in the window, but you also have the option of opening this in a separate window in a full version of Excel. So you notice I have a default configuration here of 6 inches by 2 inches by 1. If you want a brand new configuration, just go ahead and type it out here. So I'm going to say new 1. And I'm going to make this one 4 inches by 5 inches by 2. And that'll be a new configuration. And I can say this is going to be new 2. And this time I'm going to make it 15 by 6 by 0.25. So that's a couple configurations, but I do have the ability to add as many as I'd like. And the one thing I do have to remember is if I make a configuration, I must fill out all of these values. They all have to be filled out. So I can click and do a fill down, for instance. Say click fill down, which directly copies it. But you have to make sure each one has its own unique name. So make sure you change that. And then we just make sure we update each one of those values to make it a new configuration or size. They don't have to be different, but you do have to fill out each one of those values. When you're done, go ahead and click on OK and click anywhere outside of the window. Click OK here. And now over here in the configuration manager, you can see we've got all these new configurations. To switch between the two, just click on any one of the other ones and you can see automatically the block updates and changes to whatever that configuration size happens to be. Click on this next one, click on the next one. So Using design tables has a huge amount of power because I can have one part and drive it with a whole bunch of different equation values to get a whole variety pack of different types of parts. I also have the ability to change the colors, suppress or unsuppress features, and so many more things. So design tables are really extremely powerful tool inside of SOLIDWORKS.